Okay, been a while since I've done a Life with Linda little video, but I figured I would do an update. Um, it's not that I haven't recorded anything, it's just some stuff is shut down for only a couple of people. This one, if you find it, you find it. There you go. So, um, here is a current update, and it's kind of, well, I don't know. I'll let you decide. I think it kind of fits in the how insane stuff can be sometimes. First, I will discuss my Uncle Anthony. My Uncle Anthony is my mom's side of the family. My mom was one of five. It's Anthony is the oldest, and then there was Johnny, my Uncle Johnny, then my mom and her twin, and then my Uncle Jimmy, whose name was actually Graham. But as a kid, he was Uncle Jimmy. So even later, when he decided he wanted to go back to his first name, which was Graham, he remained Uncle Jimmy to me. Anyway, Uncle Johnny passed quite some years ago. Then in, I believe it was 2017, might have been 2018. My brain kind of blends. Yeah, 2018. Sitting there trying to remember. 2018, my Aunt Edie, my mom's twin, she passed due to cancer that just kind of went crazy. I talked about that in class. Then last year, my Uncle Jimmy passed. So that was the youngest of the group, leaving only Anthony, the oldest, and my mom, who is now 78. I think Anthony is 84. But anyway, he's had a lot of health issues, gets better, gets worse, gets better, get worse. He has been on a ventilator. Let's see, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So today's Wednesday, so 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Today is day 23 of being on a ventilator. He is in Florida. And I mention that because of something else I'm going to say. But he's in Florida. This past Friday, they were going to take him off the ventilator, and they had said they might do a tracheotomy. So in case they have to hook something up, they can. He had pneumonia, some other kind of infection. They were trying to identify. I never heard back. I'm curious if it's this fungal thing that I've been reading about that's been plaguing areas in Texas, and I want to say Washington, but I can't remember if it's Washington or Washington, D.C., and two totally different locations. But it's something I've been reading about in the news, and so I'm a little curious, but no one's told me. The hospital was pushing to get him off the ventilator, and they kept saying because they wanted to not do any more damage for how long he's been on the ventilator. Each day it's been pushed off. So Friday, they said they were going to do it on Saturday. But then one of his kids said, wait until Sunday so I can be there with him, because the basic idea was he's not going to survive getting off the ventilator, because for the past week, they had been trying to wean him off of it and it hasn't gone well. So Sunday gets there, and my cousin's there sitting with him, and they decide not to do it because they did x-rays and it looked like he was beginning to improve a little bit. So they keep just buying time. But the hospital was pushing really, really, really hard to get him off of the ventilator and pushing against resuscitation and all this stuff. My Uncle Anthony was he was a doctor, had his own medical practice in New York. And he knows exactly what's involved in all of this. And in his papers, it says to keep him alive. A lot of people seem to not understand the difference between a living will and a DNR. And he has all of his ducks in a row for all of the paperwork and everything. And the hospital people kept pushing one direction, which was not the way Anthony had specified. And so the family was all sitting there going, dude, we are pretty sure if anyone knows the risks involved in everything, it's this man. Because they were trying to say that if they took him off the ventilator and he had trouble performing CPR, could possibly lead to this, that, pain, blah, blah, blah. Anthony knows exactly what it would lead to because he's done it. So it makes you kind of question motives. The reason I say that is currently COVID's going off the charts in Florida, and the hospitals are getting overwhelmed. And I can't help but wonder if they are encouraging the removal of the ventilator and trying to keep him there in order to free it up for someone else. And I am a little disgusted that I even thought of this, but it just seems interesting at the timing. But my uncle is family, and he has this wonderful stubborn streak. My aunt, the one who survived my Uncle Jimmy, she said that she refers to it as determination. She said it's pretty much the same thing, just depending on what you think of the person. And I guess she's got a point there, but I have truly always thought of it as stubborn because I've got the same streak where I'm like, screw you, this is what I'm doing. So I find it interesting that the day they're planning on removing it, he starts to improve, and he keeps improving. And so it keeps getting put off. And so they have yet to take the ventilator away, because each time they do an x-ray, he's healing and he's doing a little bit better. And I guess it would be, well, I don't know if it would be too, I don't know if it's an ethics thing, if it's a, oh, wow, look, he's getting better, let's help him, or if it's a, it would be too friggin' obvious. I don't know which one it is. All I know is he's still on the ventilator, doing better. He's doing more of his own stuff. He's actually able to communicate more. I mean, obviously he can't talk, but he's able to actually write some of the answers out and respond. He can answer questions right now, which is really good, because quite a few days ago, he kept asking why why his wife hasn't come to visit him. And she died a long time ago. And so everybody got really, really concerned. But now he remembers who everybody is. So it's like his faculties are coming back and everything. So that's pretty cool. So that's my update on my Uncle Anthony. My friend Jim, one of my oldest friends, he's having some more medical issues, and he turns 50 on Sunday. Yay. When I spoke to him this past Sunday, he had just been told he is not going to walk again. He was very down because he said that he already lost his sight. Now he can't walk, can't do anything, and he doesn't see the point in going on. And I don't really know how to cheer people up from stuff like that, but we talked for a while and I think it got better. And Chris, one of his oldest friends, and I are doing a mad dash down to see him this weekend for his 50th. And he doesn't know. When I talked to him, I know he said specifically he really didn't want anyone there because he can't do anything. But we're still going to show up, and I'm hoping it doesn't make him angry. I'm hoping he actually takes it as it's intended, and that is that we really want to be there with him and for him and celebrate this milestone of turning 50. And of course, the other big one is I really question if he's going to make it to 51. I didn't think he was going to make it to 50. This is a friend of mine who I have known since, I want to say I met him in 1989, but it might have been 1990, but I really think it was 89. And we got to be really good friends in 91 when our friend Brian was killed and died. It was like, it's one of those things where we bonded due to the shared loss. We could like kind of keep Brian alive a little bit by being able to talk to each other about him and stuff like that. And so it's a little disconcerting to watch what's going on because I've known him for so long. going somewhere with that and I totally forgot. But anyway, so that's the other big stressor. Find out what's going on with him. My Aunt Joan, the one I spoke about just a moment ago, who survived my Uncle Jimmy, she actually had read a bunch of stuff. She sent me some info that might help him. So I'm going to be sharing that with Jim and his sister and see if we can boost a little morale and stuff. So hopefully. Oh, that's what I was going to say, Jim. For anyone who actually really knows me, you'll remember that 2020, he was in a coma in like June, July, and then came to. And then in January of this year, he was in a coma for a really long time, and no one thought he was going to actually wake up from that one, and he did. So he's already been beating the odds about a lot of things. And when he's down, he's like, oh my gosh, look at all this that's gone wrong. But then on the other side, for those of us who were, awake during all of it, we're looking at how much of a fighter he obviously is, because he's already beaten the odds so many times. So currently I'm working in my head of trying to be ready, trying to be hopeful that Anthony does well and Jim does well. But in reality, I'm also trying to prepare myself that Anthony might go and Jim might go before too long. And I'm not ready for the Jim one at all. I have also been working with my mom, 78, and I got her to actually, finally, we got her will done and signed and notarized and in 2 locations. Trying to prep because I'm having to also face the fact that she's 78 years old. She doesn't have great kidneys. She has a bunch of other issues, and trying to do the pragmatic and logical prep stuff, as well as try to get the happy memories and do the stuff that I want to make sure that when the time comes, I know that I have done everything I can. So that's that one. Now, for the last part here, and this might take a moment, like, it always does, because I apparently am incapable of not talking a lot and using a lot of words. And yes, I have been told that multiple times, and it hurts every single time when someone says, I just need to learn to use fewer words, but I'm not capable of that. So there you go. But I figure if you're choosing to look at something that I recorded, you probably already know I use a lot of words, and hopefully that means you don't have an issue with me using a lot of words. Maybe, I don't know. I could be delusional, who knows? But anyway, this last update, medical stuff. So I hurt. I always hurt. Pretty much as far back as I can remember, I hurt. Never really been a big deal because, you just kind of shut it off in your head. You keep going. Well, neck, back, hip, that kind of thing. It's just gotten to where it's a lot worse. And the hip, it had gotten so bad that people were asking me, because I would hold it a lot. My left hip, I would hold it a lot. And I finally realized, okay, if it's getting so bad that people can tell it's hurting, I should probably finally get it checked. With my counselor and all this stuff, she's been trying to teach me that whole, gosh, what is it called? See, I suck at it that bad. Self-care, I think that's what it is. And whenever I would ask people what the heck that means, they always give that stupid example of, take a bubble bath. Dude, who has time to do that on a regular basis? Would I like to just soak in a tub? Sure. However, my tub is old. There's not good air conditioning in that bathroom. It's summer. It's hot. If I try to take a bath in that bathroom right now, you're going to just be sweating. It's not really helpful. And I kind of need more examples than that, because I can't take a friggin' bath every single day. Shower? Sure. Bath? No. That takes time. And like I said, that tub needs to be replaced. But I've been having to learn what self-care is. What I have discovered, for me at least, probably everybody, but other people are going to be laughing at me for not figuring this out sooner, doctors. I suck at the whole doctor thing. Growing up, we went to the doctors pretty much on those scheduled checkups that you had to go to. It was hard to ever actually go to a doctor If what a normal person would say, I needed to go to a doctor. Example. My mom's my mom. She has her issues. We all pretty much think she's schizophrenic. Even my counselor from way back when and my sister's counselor from way back when we would discuss stuff, they said they think that probably fits the bill too. There's definitely something. And if the few times I try to talk my mom into getting any kind of psychiatric evaluation or care, she would just talk about when she was a kid and her parents took her to a psychiatrist and all they wanted to do was put her on drugs. And I'm thinking, bing, 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 red flag here, red light. It's caution. It's telling you, yeah, they found something. But my mom won't do it. She cycles. She has different modes. Not really distinct personalities, but that's the easiest way to put it. So I'm not saying that she's DID, which is dissociative identity disorder. It's not that, but there is different phases. I don't know how else to word it, but anyway, as a kid, she is super duper religious, but like off the charts religious. And so if I didn't feel well, if I felt sick, I was not allowed to tell her I felt sick, because if I told her I felt sick, she would get on to me and tell me, say things as though they were, and that if I spoke the words that I didn't feel well, I was opening the door to the devil to make me feel that way. So I was not allowed to say, this hurts, or I feel like I'm going to throw up. I would just have to, I feel great, because you had to say things as though they were. I cannot tell you how many times I heard that. So I didn't really get to go to the doctor all that often. I learned to just kind of set it aside, keep on going. I actually have this scar on my knee from, gosh, I can't remember what age I was. It was probably like 4th grade, something like that, where I ran past something and there was a nail sticking out and it just ripped open my knee, or just above my knee. Old rusty nail. Seriously, if ever I should have gone to a doctor, right? Never even occurred to me to tell anybody. I walked home, blood dripping down my leg, grabbed hydrogen peroxide, poured it on there, and just wrapped something on it till the bleeding stopped. And so I now have the scar legs like this, because it didn't occur to me. Your kids react to how you raise them, which is why I kind of go off about it sometimes. It is a little bit of a big deal. So I know as a small child, I got sick enough where they did actually have to take me to a doctor. And that's when we found out I had pneumonia or something at 3. And so I didn't get normal testings. Every year, my tonsils would swell up to where I could barely swallow. And I wouldn't get to go to the doctor to get that checked until they would notice that I wasn't eating or anything, that, I'm taking tiny sips, because I couldn't say it hurts, because again, say things as though they were. So due to an upbringing of this, oh, and by the way, my dad was almost always out of town. So I know it's a 2-parter. There were 2 parents. If my dad had actually been home, he probably would have had me go to the doctor, but I can't guarantee that, because he's also a survivor of the Holocaust and he didn't really trust doctors. So yeah, there you go. So a very interesting upbringing, to where I have put medical needs on the back burner all the time for myself. I was blessed with insanely healthy kids. And so my very healthy kids, I only mostly just did the checkups, but if anything was wrong, yeah, I took them. But yeah, very rarely was anything wrong, with the exception of Jacob for a while, and we did the whole neurologist thing and a whole bunch of tests. But other than that, pretty easy going. But anyway, we finally get to now. So self-care, doctor. I went because my hip was hurting me, and that was May 17th question mark. Let me see. No, it was it was May 14th is when I finally went to the doctor. I'm saying this for a reason. So May 14th, I finally went to the doctor about my hip. May 20th, they sent me for ultrasound and x-rays. Within a couple of days, I got the results of the ultrasound, but then I kept not hearing back about the x-rays. It took me a month to finally get an answer about the x-rays. In the x-rays, they said on that first phone call that I had bone spurs in my lower back and I had to go to an orthopedic surgeon to get that checked out. And then I had an extra bone in my hip, which I went, excuse me, because I had never heard that. Looked it up, found out similar to the bone spurs where there could have been something and your body is producing bone to try to fix something and then it just kind of goes out of whack. That's the basic gist. So they wanted me to get a CT scan for the hip and got the stuff to see the orthopedic surgeon for the spine. I just saw him this past Monday. I'll talk about that in a second. For the hip, I was supposed to schedule for a CT scan. I scheduled it for real close, but then the insurance company called, said if I go to this one, it's going to cost me over $1,300. But if I drive an hour and a half to this other location, then it'll be more like $350. So hello, $1,000. I went to the other place. So I scheduled that, drove down there. The woman blew out my vein. I discovered that during the contrast dye, if they mess up and they push the saline in, you have what looks like a golf ball under your arm. This, yeah, see that bruise? That's the end of it right now. And that was on July 17th, I believe. No, it was after July 17th. When the heck was that? Oh, I'm looking at June. That's why I'm confused. This was, there we go, July 8th. So this is from July 8th, right there. That's the end for July 8th. It was huge. She blew it out, big golf ball, had to do it in another spot down here. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So the following Monday, call the doctor's office to check up, to find out what were the results of the CT scan of my hip. At which point, the person I'm talking to tells me the results of the CT scan on my knee. And I told her I already knew I had crappy knees, so what the heck? And we did that, and the woman kept telling me things like, well, you have to understand your femur is the bone that goes to your knee. And I told her, and the other end of the femur is the one that goes to the hip. Okay, had a brief break because my son Pax went across because it's in the morning and he was leaving. So I stopped to talk to him real quick. Bone spurs, hip thing, CT scan, poof, there we go. That's my recap. I know you didn't take a break, but I took a break. So I'm reminding myself where I was. Got into a, not argument, but I was talked down to, for lack of a better phrase, of this woman saying, the femur is the bone that goes to your knee. That is why they did a CT scan of your knee. And I said, I'm just trying to figure out why you scanned the knee when I came in for hip issues. And she insisted my hip was never checked, that if I am having issues with my hip, I should come to the doctor and have my hip checked. And then they can conduct some tests on my hip. I told her if she looks back in the notes, she will see the entire reason I came to the doctor was for my hip. The x-ray was of my hip, and that's why I am very confused. She got a bit snippy and told me that I should then just make an appointment with the doctor to have my hip checked. So I told her, thank you, goodbye. I then went to the doctor's office and picked up a copy of the medical report. I then went to the hospital where they took the pictures, the x-rays, and I got a copy of the report from them and the imaging disc. Went through, looked at that. It clearly states in medical terms that it's the top part of the femur, again, by the hip. And I'm thinking this is a good example of when somebody looks at something, they need to not skim and assume. They need to read all the words, because if she had read all the words, she would have seen it was hip. So I did that 1.5 hour drive one way to have my vein blow out to get a test done of the wrong body part. So irritated. Came back, got all my stuff, went to the spine guy this past Monday, and they asked like a million different little questions, and they decided they wanted to do x-rays of my neck. They did x-rays of my neck, sat down, he showed me the imaging, we looked at the report. He was stunned when I told him that the woman had me get a CT scan of my knee, and he's like, why? I'm like, I don't know, you're looking at the same report. And he says, it clearly states here that it's the hip region. And I'm like, I know. Still have no idea about my hip because I haven't been referred to a specialist of the hip. This guy is just the spine specialist. So that is all he can address. Next time I see him, I'm going to ask, can we get a referral for the hip guy? Lower back, he said there's a little bit of stuff, the bone spurs, they're there, but they're not bad. He said the discs look fine from what he can tell from the x-ray. He said that for my age, 50, my bones actually look really good. So yay, that's good news. He's more concerned with my neck because he says, and look at these imagings. And he pointed to this one vertebrae up here in my neck. And he said that actually gives him more concern. So he's really wanting to take a good look at that. Stage one of what you're supposed to do for all this is do a daily anti-inflammatory to see if that can bring some of the stuff down, to see if that helps. I donated a kidney back in 2015, so I can't do a daily anti-inflammatory. And I told him that. He's like, oh yeah. So we have jumped to step two. Step two is to put me on some kind of steroid pack and do physical therapy. So that's where it gets interesting because he said, okay, we're going to put you on the steroid pack. And I said, okay. You just need to know I'm allergic to prednisone. He goes, what? Which is the reaction I get because prednisone is literally the medication they give people who are having an allergic reaction. But for some reason, I'm one of the tiny minuscule amount of people who's allergic to prednisone. So he prescribed me that step down thing of methylprednisone something. We are hoping it's different enough from the regular prednisone that I might not be allergic, but I started taking it yesterday. I'm already flush and I'm getting itchy and I have like a tiny little red spot, but I'm wanting to make sure it's not just me manifesting issues because I'm afraid, because I remember what happened with the prednisone, which is I got huge hives and I puked on an airplane. I probably still, there's probably somebody there still traumatized because I almost threw up on a person in the aisle of the plane. It was really embarrassing. Thankfully, I didn't. But I know what it's like to puke in one of those bags trying to run down the minuscule aisle and get into the bathroom where you can sit there and keep puking into a bag. It was not fun. But anyway, so I'm nervous. I'm on day 2 of the methylprednisone, whatever. I'm just trying to continue taking it for the 7 days to see if it actually helps. If it does not help, then we're going to discuss that on September 1st. Started the physical therapy yesterday. The physical therapy is only addressing my spine, like my lower back and my hips, because since that's what the original medical report was, the insurance has not authorized any work on my neck because that has not been officially authorized. So, what? So I'm attempting to do the self-care thing. It's crazy. I think it's a very long path to try to figure out what's going on. And I'm just going to have to keep being assertive and push. Physical therapy kicked my butt. I didn't realize these tiny movements could hurt so friggin' much. And that's when I realized the hardest part of the physical therapy for me is going to be actually recognizing and admitting when something hurts, because I have a lifetime of it's not that bad. Just, if it's something that's consistent enough, I just kind of like find the spot in my brain and turn it off. It might not turn it all the way off, but it brings it down to a tolerable level. For me, anything pain-wise that I would say is above a 7 is going to be something that has me incapacitated and I literally can't move. So I almost never say anything is that high. If I can still keep doing what I'm doing, even if it hurts while I'm doing it, then I consider that's not that big a deal because it's not stopping me from what I'm doing. So this whole pain chart thing, I kind of suck at. So when the lady is working on the different things and she's like, let me know if anything hurts, I can't comprehend when to say something hurts. And so I know that's probably not helpful and I'm trying, but I don't know, because I'm like, yeah, it's not that bad. It's tolerable. And so the closest I got was at one point, I was like, well, that's a little tender. Hopefully physical therapists have had enough people with whacked out perceptions as myself, and she's figuring it out. I don't know. But I did not expect after an hour of physical therapy doing stuff so small that I would be shaky, but I was. But I still went to the gym and did 45 minutes on the treadmill because, hey, why not? I was just like afterwards. But that, I think, is pretty much the update. I'm not going to have anything else to talk about with this until either I am definitely getting an allergic reaction and I can't do this and contact them and find out what to do, or until September 1st and I have my next checkup and find out what to do. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the update. Yeah, there you go then. So peace out.